Hey everyone, welcome. Well, today I've got a fun event, Enthusiastically Spiritual Regrouping with Michelle Bourke, who lives in Melbourne, Australia. Good day.
Good day.
Good day. How are you?
I'm doing well, mate. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a fabulous evening, almost evening for me and morning for you. So a little
Morning for
time
me.
difference. I'm so glad you're
Yes.
here. And I had you on last year on in June of 2020. You were actually episode number 9
Oh, wow.
of
Wow.
enthusiastically spiritual. So that was beginning of my podcasting days. And to me, number 9 is that completion. It can also
Yes.
mean death. It can mean I think it's just perfect for with the what we're going to talk about today and kind of going over the past podcasts and some of the things we
Mm.
discussed. It was a pretty meaty podcast with some good things about your 2 books you had written at that point.
Mm.
Traveling with Cardboard Paul, Conversations with Paul, and you've written a new one we're going to talk about, and you've got an upcoming one. So we've got some really good meaty things to talk about today. I'm excited you're here, Michelle.
Yeah, I'm so excited too. It's lovely.
So it's been
Mm.
almost a year. Boy, talk about what's gone on in the life of Michelle in the last, almost year.
Oh, well, we well, I lost mum, and I know we spoke about that in the last podcast. So I lost mum, and I started writing the book Death, Dying and Beyond then, when I was talking to you, and I completed it. So it was completed in October and I had it published.
Great.
And going through that whole process of writing that book was interesting because I know after Paul died, we're having conversations as we've spoken about before, and he actually helped write some of this Death, Dying and Beyond book. So he was my ghostwriter, so
Oh,
to
I love
speak.
literally and figuratively, right?
Literally, yes. So when I was writing some of this book, I know in the last podcast I spoke about when Paul was dying that day and I was saying goodbye to my sister, and I had this euphoric feeling of freedom and excitement. And I couldn't understand it because I was losing my husband that afternoon. But when I was writing this book and that part in the chapter, Paul came through and said the reason why I felt that way is because he was leaving his body and coming out to see what it was like. And then he went back into his body to experience the death process. And I thought, oh, that's amazing. I'm getting tingles. That
Michelle,
was
I'm
so
filled with
amazing.
chills. I'm filled with chills,
Yes,
girl.
I know. So I finished and published that book. So I'm launching that in Melbourne um,
Yay.
on April the 17th.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm doing that.
fabulous.
Yeah. So, and then what else has been happening? Then I started a new book, which is fictional and talking about all things spiritual. And I do a lot of channeling and medium work and that type of thing. And one particular
Mhm.
night, it was back in November last year, and I was just going to sleep, and all of a sudden I got this download of this sentence, and it was, he touched her cheek and whispered softly, "Don't leave me," as tears gently rolled down his face, and then she was gone. And then I had to get up and start writing.
Oh,
And
without a doubt.
this book is just evolving. It's fiction. I haven't written fiction before, and I'm having so much fun with it. So and that's the writing side. And then I I was started a new job in December as a office coordinator for the Uniting Church in Melbourne, and it's just an amazing job. It's one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life, and it's it's fun. I get to do so much and use my skills and knowledge from my past. I get to dabble with some spiritual stuff, and I've had a few people read my book from there, and I've had mainly conversations with Paul, and it's just said just amazing feedback. Like, and so the books, although they don't do much during, they haven't sort of done that much, sales wise, but I always know that the people that need to read the books will read them. Like they will come together when they need that information, and that, you know. So, but other than that, haven't been doing much other than writing and working and
That's a
planning
lot,
a
Michelle.
launch.
That it sounds like you've been, pretty on it, girl. That's a lot. Well,
Yeah.
and in talking about, I want to talk a little about death because obviously death's been a big subject since COVID, right? For the past year.
Yes.
In Australia, what hasn't been so bad, thankfully, right?
No,
Not
that's
like
right. Yeah.
America. America's woof. We're like, kicking it over here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but the subject of death, and as I was reading through your book, because I read your book and then actually just ordered it on Amazon because I want to have a copy because I like to have a copy, in my
Yeah.
hand. So I read it online, but then I have another copy. But I love how you have in there really some great things like the planning table, the funeral
Mm.
arrangements. How do you want your your funeral to be? I mean, you have some great tips and tools in there for people to really work with, whether it be, whatever I mean, everyone's got to die. So whatever it be that, when they get to that point or before that, to really
Mm.
put those things together for themselves. I mean, great keys.
Yeah, and I know that when Paul died, and I had conversations with other people, they all would say, I don't know what mum wanted or what dad wanted, or whatever. And that's the reason why I sort of wrote Conversation with Paul. But this little book, Bedtime Was Beyond, was always the companion book to Conversation with Paul. I just took a
Mm.
little bit of time to write it. But the great thing about this is I'm so passionate about people preparing for their death, or they're celebrating their last hurrah, as I call it.
Yes.
And with that, from my experience and being, doing it a couple of times with, Paul and mum, is when mum passed away, it was so much easier because I knew what to do. I knew who to contact. I knew, contact palliative care, or I knew how to, the steps and the process I had to do to prepare her. And once she
Right.
passed away, so it was really good to go through all that pain and grief with Paul, but then was easier. So that's the main reason why, I wanted to help people and prepare,
Yeah.
especially if they're terminally ill, you've got a bit of time. If they die suddenly, all of a sudden, you've got to organise a funeral within a couple of days.
Right.
Like it's within a week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that we prepare, we all prepare for birthdays, engagements, weddings, births. We have prepare an excitement about, those celebrations. But when it comes to our last one, why don't we go out with the big hurrah? Why not?
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
So that's what I'm starting to move through with this book. And then, on the side, we've got a little bit of information from the other side, which Paul was able to provide me when I was writing it earlier on in the piece. So there's some nice little pearlers in there where, and while I was sort of doing it, there was like these statements like, death is the finality of our reality. And, when you really hear that and
Right.
think, wow, like death is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not, but it's only the death is the finality of realities in this body.
Right.
And then we move on, or we go home.
Because we know the bigger picture, right, Michelle?
Yes.
That we never die. We
No,
just
we
die.
don't.
No, we never ever die. And we've
No, we
been,
don't.
we are, and we always will be a soul. And I like that about your book
Yes,
too, because it has all that spirituality in it and the bigger picture about, your psychic gifts and your inner guidance. And
that's
it had
right.
that part in it too, which I thought was really good because that gives people the bigger picture.
It does, yeah. And that was from my learnings from, being involved with IPMI and doing all that astrosol work and what I've done in the past, and it just came in beautifully. And from my experiences of using my gifts and being able to do that, which is lovely. And also, this book, I know at the moment with what's going on energetically wise, there is a lot of people seeking and a lot of people waking up and
Yes,
realizing, hold on a minute, there's more to life than just this, being a human.
definitely. Yes,
And this book gives people just that little snippet or an insight of like the 101 of spiritual stuff. And it's a little bit different because it actually goes through those whole stages, like,
right,
we do die, we do have death, and, we are going somewhere else other
right.
than here. Mm,
It's that universal truth. And I think just like what you said a
yes.
few minutes ago is that, the right people will get a hold of your book. And so the fact that we're all out there spreading really these universal truths in different ways,
Mm.
different variations, it's important because then, I've got chills on this as I'm saying it, but like,
Yeah, I
your
know.
apprentices are going to get it. My apprentices are going to get it. Tom's
Yes.
apprentices and other people's. And there's so many people to really get the message out that about the bigger picture because, we don't die. And the fact that we have help and all these aspects of being an energetic being that really can make your journey so much better and so much more fulfilling. And then when you get to the end, yeah, it's not really an ending. I'm just leaving this body and moving on, and it's okay.
Exactly. And I know that I've had previous lifetimes, especially when I did traveling with Cardboard Paul and meeting up with Henry VIII. And then when I was writing Traveling with Cardboard Paul, Henry VIII disappeared out of nowhere. And we're having those conversations with him going, well, was I one of your wives or what was going on? And apparently I did have a bit of I did walk in his, I was in his court,
Right.
so to
Mhm.
speak. And it's just amazing of having those flashbacks when you do, when I was going traveling and walking into these places, of that familiarity of home. And I know I
Yes.
spoke about it, with, being in London. Like, I'd love to be there tomorrow if I could, like that's my home. That was home in a previous lifetime. On
Yeah.
multiple lifetimes, I was there.
Right.
Same as Stonehenge,
Yeah.
I was there for, a long time ago. So it's just that it's just amazing that we actually get to do this multiple times
Without
over,
a doubt.
yeah,
And then
I
as
love it.
spirits, you can connect with the spirit anytime because they're just a spirit, you know?
Exactly. And yeah, well, it's true. And it was interesting that the other day I was having a conversation with mum, and it's lovely that I know that with one of the downloads that mum gave me was I am you, you are me, we are one, we are free. And it was just amazing that, yeah, I know. And it's just one of those lovely inspirational quotes that she gave me. I thought, wow, like that put it all together, like it just made sense of what was going on.
Without a doubt, for sure.
Yeah. So, but one of the conversations I had with mum the other day was because I always say good morning to her and have a chat with her if she's around. And I said, how are you going, mum? And she says, I'm good. And she was going through the healing phase of her spiritual journey.
Right.
And she was going through that because occasionally she'll give me flashbacks of what was going on through her, and it could be in, if I'm daydreaming or throughout the day or through dreams. And she just happened to come into a dream the other day or the other night. And I asked her that next morning what was going on. And she said, well, I'm going through that healing phase. So well, that's lovely that, you are. So, and I know Paul did it too, because he used to do it a lot when I was not long after he died. So, and it's just going through that healing phase and knowing that, from this body, we do go through these different phases or processes through, the beyond stage, because, we have to, we evolve as souls and we just can't
Right.
go, like we can be at different levels of souls. And, yeah, it's been very interesting with, also writing this book of the questions that came up and so, well, what is the purpose of the soul? What does it do? What do we,
Right.
and it's just these interesting questions that come up and go, okay, well, and it makes you think, but
Mhm.
then the human mind can't comprehend it a lot of the time of what's actually,
Right.
yeah.
But having it
Huh,
in the form where they can read it and someone could read it again and again, like we know when, you read it, like I'm thinking of the Man in the Universe book, right? With from
yeah,
Francisco Cole Sr. I mean, every time I read it, it's like, holy cow, there's something I didn't read that before. And so I can only pick up certain pieces. And I'm sure that's when people read in this book too, because your book has a lot of things in it, a
Yes.
lot of great juicy stuff, between, like I said, all the stories as well as the spiritual aspect. And then I was just reading the part about the firemen, the 9/11 firemen that came to
Oh,
you.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting
Fascinating
tingly
story.
again.
Wow, that's a fascinating story. Want to share it?
Oh, yeah. I look, that day was amazing. We know with the Twin Towers being attacked, and we woke up in Australia early that morning, and Paul was listening to it on the radio, and we got up and started watching it. So he went off to work, and I was sitting watching TV, and all of a sudden, and it was a beautiful sunny day outside, and all of a sudden my blinds were rustling like they were waving. No doors were open, nothing was happening, and what's going on? So I've turned around, and there's all these firemen standing in my, in spirit, in my family room, and I'm going, okay. And they said to me, "Is it okay?" I was something like this. "Is it okay if we stand here with you and watch?" I said, "Yeah, if you want." So they were there for a little bit, and then I just felt really sad, like a lot of sadness, and then they just left, and I thought, oh my God, it was just these firemen that were one of the first responders into the towers that that died, and then all of a sudden, and I don't know how long they'd been dead, and all of a sudden he's standing in my family room. I thought, well, okay, it was just that, yeah, it was
It's those
just,
connections and how we're
yeah,
all, it's like, I mean, I always say it's like an energetic web. So for some reason they were drawn to connect with you and your energy. And so they were right there. And probably because they knew too that, well, maybe didn't know, but as a
yeah,
spirit knew that you could probably help them move towards the light and move out.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was interesting because being these like light workers come, lighthouses, sometimes, spiritually they say, go to the light, and then they end up going to someone like me or yourself
Without a
or whatever,
doubt.
and you go, no, no, we're
Yes.
not the light.
Just like we walk in the world, it's like we are such a light. And it's like, oh man, a lot of stuff comes at you. So you have to
Yeah,
make sure you have that bubble and that buffer up, right?
of course, and we spiritually cleanse quite a lot, especially
Without a
now.
doubt. Yes. Oh, for sure. Well, I'm excited. So you're working. So your other book you said is going to be, it's April 17th. It's going to be out.
Yeah, so that's the Death, Dying and Beyond book. That's been launched on the 17th. It's available now on Amazon or any bookstore, or my website.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just working on the next one and having so much fun. And then I had a nice little download the other day about putting together a spiritual quote book,
Oh, nice.
which, because over the years, I had these lovely little spiritual quotes or inspirational quotes,
Mhm.
and so I thought, well, what I might do is just put them in one of those little quote spiritual,
Yeah.
those little
Yeah.
books,
Uh-huh.
and on one side will be the quote, and the other side will be the story behind the quote.
Great idea.
So yeah, and that's, I'm going to call that being connected, which is
Oh, that's
my
a great
business
name
anyway.
too.
Yeah. Oh, it's being connected is my business name. So, which came to me again, spiritually channeled and
Go
downloaded.
figure. Wonder why that happened, Michelle.
I don't know. A lot of my life's downloaded. I think.
Why would you come up with a spiritual name like that, Michelle?
I don't know. Well, beings and connected. So,
Right.
yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, well, that's another thing that sort of fell into place. That name and
Beautiful.
and the web, the website was available, and I could have it as a business name. So it was meant to be.
Love it, love it. And when I was tuning into this session before and with spirit, and I got the keyword of timing. So how's
Mm.
the timing for you with things these days, and what's going on with that?
Well, I manifested the job that just came, and I it was interesting because I applied for it. I mean, oh yeah, whatever. no, I'll apply for this job. And then when I had the first interview, and then I did some research and found out that the minister's name is Paul.
No way.
Yes, way.
Wow. Ironic?
Paul is
No.
around everywhere. Paul. So the minister's name's Paul, and my manager's name is Sarah, which is my daughter's name. So you cannot make this.
No, you cannot make it up, Michelle. You're right.
You cannot make it up. So that was well timed. And the 17th of April, so the April 17th is the last weekend of our Easter school, all the school holidays. So that was timed very well too. So it was just given, that gives that date. And people will turn up if they need to turn up, and if they don't, they don't. That's, but it's spiritual. Well, I've been doing a few things, with friends and, my little soul sisters in, behind the scenes. But I don't know. Timing is, at the moment, I'm manifesting a new love or man, and I know he's coming.
It's got chills on that. I've got complete chills. So.
I know I know he's coming. It's just around about when, and then they keep saying patience, divine timing, and I'll go, okay, all right, like someone who's been waiting, and
Right.
And as an old soul, we're going, okay, look, time's ticking away here. We're going to get moving.
And that's what they're like, no, it's not. It's going to come in divine timing, Michelle. Just hang on. It's coming.
Always.
Without a doubt.
But other than that, I'm just enjoying life and spiritually evolving, and something came to me the other day. I've just grown into my spirituality. It was just lovely to just, and be open. And I even at work with, Uniting Church, and I just speak my truth, and some of these people that are reading the book from the church were elderly and probably have got fixed beliefs. They're reading Conversations with Paul, and I'm going, oh my God, what have I written in there, Paul?
Oh, right, exactly. Oh no, what are they going to hear? They're going to hear what they need to hear.
Yeah, well, I think they'll think, oh my God, this woman is so strange. Like, yeah, oh God, I have a major spin. Ooh. A lot of crazy energy at the moment.
Yeah, big time. Well, and too, as a way shower in spirituality and in the, the death process that you're sharing with people, it is so needed these days. So that's a real big asset, I feel, for, connecting with people spiritually, because we need to get out there and just share the light, because there's a lot of people, like you mentioned earlier, that really are searching, and there's going to be more and more, because we're not done with life, and it's going to be constant. My understanding is the next 10 years between 2020 and 2030 are just going to be one thing after another. And so how do we work with that? Well, cleanse, work with our guidance. So being the way shower that you are, Michelle, it's refreshing, and it's exciting to connect with you again, because you were down in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm over here in Iowa, and it doesn't matter where we're at, we're all connected and we're doing our work. And I'm just so thrilled that you joined me today, and we had this time to kind of chat and just kind of catch up and regroup.
Yes, no, it's lovely to see you again, and yeah, catch up, and a lot's happened since we last spoke. So for you too, and for us, and we are walking this spiritual journey, and getting out there, as you said, and mine could be just through my books, and whether they're reading it or I'm speaking, with it, or traveling with Cardboard Paul and talking about his story too. It all connects the
Exactly.
same. The story is the same. So
yeah, I just saw
just
the
on different
spiral.
levels.
So as a spiral, you're hitting different areas around the spiral.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is true. Yes.
So exciting. So tell me again, it's your website. Do you have the same ones as before, or do you have different ones? Is it beingconnected.com?
Yeah. Yeah, beingconnected.com.au is one, and then the michelleburke.com.au. So I've only got two websites now.
Great. And I
and
will definitely
they
have
should
those
be,
in the show notes or the notes of the I'm gonna put it on YouTube and stuff. So that'll all be in there so people can
yeah,
find you. And like I said,
yeah,
I just ordered the book on Amazon. So it's on Amazon in America too. So you can find the
it
book,
is.
which is
It
exciting.
is. Yes, it is very exciting. Mm. Oh, you can
Thank
find
you.
all my books on there on
Yeah,
Amazon. So,
excellent. Yeah.
yeah,
And that's an easy breezy one if you're over here for sure, no shipping, comes
yeah.
right to you. Well, thank you, Michelle. It's a pleasure. Sending much love to you down in
Thank you.
Australia, and can't wait to see you because we're going to be coming back down soon. So
Yes, looking forward to it, to seeing you in
definitely.
person and giving
And
you a hug
yes, in person, not in death,
in
in person.
person. In person, and we'll be able to give each other a hug.
That's right, exactly. Thank you again, Michelle. And I know my
Thank
listeners are
you.
going to love watching this and getting some insights from you and hopefully reading your book because they're real inspiring.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.